Quick response by the IT staff saves the Florida hospital in a ransomware attack.
So, Jim, you've got a story here about a lucky incident response to ransomware that managed to save a hospital's bacon, so to say. Maybe you could tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, this one I picked up on CNN, but there was a Florida emergency room that got hit with ransomware last week. And we've seen in recent years a lot of ransomware attacking hospitals, and the hospitals end up paying the ransom because after they get all of their systems shut down. In this case, though, fortunately, the IT director caught this early enough and was able to just shut down the one system. Shut down the one system before it had a chance to spread any further into the hospital. And so while the one system, which is the one that's used in the emergency room for doing charting, keeping track of what the issues are with the patient and what medications are being given and all that kind of stuff, that one system is down, is still down as of when this article was written. But they were able to protect the rest of the hospital by taking this one system down in a hurry. And that brought to mind a number of the things that we've said over the years of how to protect your systems, especially against things like ransomware. With ransomware, of course, the malware is going to try to encrypt all of your important files. And so if it can read files on a larger file system, or if they're communicating with other systems, sharing files back and forth, those encrypted files, can spread. So among the important things here is, you need to have your IT staff working constantly and on the lookout for this kind of thing. Isolation, the ability to isolate systems in a hurry is a key capability that your incident response staff needs to have. Whether it's shutting the system down or disconnecting it from the local network. We used to talk about internal firewalls and isolating various parts of your enterprise from one another. These days we don't talk that much about that. Now it's more about zero trust. But whatever the case, the ability to quickly cut off the network connectivity of the potentially infected system so that it can't spread is key in these kinds of situations. As I said, this particular hospital, they got really lucky. They, within a few minutes of the IT guy getting the phone call that they were having trouble in the emergency room with their charting system, he cut it off, saved the rest of the enterprise.
Well, I also think it's interesting that they mentioned specifically in the article downtime procedures, which is their way of saying, when this system goes down, we have a plan for how to continue business. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard from people that they didn't have anything like this. Like they had no plan. It was, oh, the server's down. Well, now in the heat of battle, now we have to figure out how to make a process to do that. It's the time to do it is way in advance, which is what it sounds like these folks did. And that means
these guys had a good disaster recovery, business continuity.
Yep.
And in hospitals, that's important. If the computer goes down, you've still got sick patients there that need to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of other enterprises, even if the computer goes down, you still want to stay in business. You know, whatever your business is, you still need to be able to do, you know, whatever it is that you do to make, to make your living. And so, yes, excellent point. These guys did have the ability to go back to the old way, paper and pencil. My wife used to work in a hospital, and you know that was one of her big concerns when they started doing these online charting things. Is what happens when that goes down? You still got to be able to take care of the patients. You still got to be able to do it the old-fashioned way. And you know, one of her concerns was a lot of the new. She was a nurse, so a lot of the new nursing graduates came in. They were really good with the online method, and they really didn't know how to do it with paper and pencil. So, you know, these skills are important for keeping the business going. And not only did these guys have a good disaster recovery and business continuity plan, apparently, but my guess is that they've probably tested it, at least to some extent, because they were able to fairly smoothly switch over to that. Now, granted, that still meant that they had to get historical information about these patients from other parts of the hospital system. But you know, we probably, I know in the early days of the show, because I've been on this show since the beginning, you know, we used to talk about disaster recovery and business continuity every so often, and we probably haven't spoken about it recently, but this story was another excellent reminder that all of that stuff is important.
Yeah, and to be done far in advance so that you're not doing it at the very moment, because I know from experience, you got that whole fog of war situation where it's confusing, and not only does it help to have the plans, but have exercised them, like you said, because in that moment, if you have to make a difficult decision, it's much easier to tell someone, hey, we have to take your servers down because you've got ransomware, but you know what your path is forward, and we know exactly what we have to do in our roles to make sure that we get you back up and running as fast as you can. If you haven't planned for that, all you're doing is telling someone we have to take your server down, and they have no idea what they have to do, and you have no idea what you have to do.
Right.
It just makes everything that much more confusing and difficult and painful to work through. So, yeah.
Yep. So, as I said, I thought this was a great story of these guys acted quickly before it spread too far, you know, into the enterprise. And as you pointed out, they had the plan. So, good reminder, and something that we don't always think about, but clearly we need to be reminded of from time to time.